Anyway, let's talk about the fight. Paul, they've heard me talk about this a little bit on Monday with Anthony. Dricus versus Izzy. What do you think? How do you see this one?
I think, even though when you first thought that fighter was maybe Israel when you didn't have your glasses on, even though that didn't happen and there wasn't a slap, Izzy has been almost taking this one a little personal, right? Like the whole African thing, who's the true African? There's a lot of bad blood in it. It runs deep for somebody like Israel Adesanya, who's so proud of where he comes from. I hope that he can control that because he does seem more amped up. He's declaring this is the best he's going to ever look. He's going to go out there. He's going to smash this dude. But Dricus is a guy, if you try to pressure him too much, he's got good takedowns. He's awkward striking. I think there's a lot of questions to be answered from Izzy on how he's going to return after a long layoff, after kind of getting just owned by somebody like Sean Strickland. I like where Du Plessis' head's been at this whole week, kind of letting things roll off, even saying wolf, wolf to when somebody showed him that picture. Like he doesn't really seem to be too bothered. He seems extremely confident in this one, Michael. I think Israel can go out there and be his old self, but I'm leaning towards Dricus just being awkward and strong as SHIT and going out there and making it ugly, man.
Listen, we can say SH1T, we can say shit, we can say whatever the hell we want.
Watch the F-bomb, huh?
But we just got to limit it a touch because YouTube are pulling us back. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I do think the break will have been good for Izzy, right? Because he was very, very active. We know that. But he's under a ton of pressure right now because he lost the belt. Sean beat him. Now there's another champion in Dricus. If he doesn't come back and win this one, it's like his reign, his time, it's done.
Yes.
It's done. It's over. And I always say, you go up and what goes up must come down, right? Yeah. So it's a really, really tough one. As you say, if Izzy goes forward, which I would recommend, if he goes forward though, he could walk on into the takedown traps because Dricus times them really well. Yeah. I do think standing back and doing his typical countering style, that's going to play into the hands of Dricus because he's got no problem being hyper aggressive, super high pace, massive output, and walking people down, swinging bombs, and then seamlessly transitioning to the takedown. Izzy said that this would be the best version of him that we've seen. He said, you all must have forgot talking like Roy Jones Jr. But he did knock out Alex Pereira when he was beaten that time. He was a long-time middleweight champion, the second best champion and most dominant that we've ever had. Yeah, man, I'm excited for it. So you're leaning Dricus.
I am, just because, I'm going to lead towards the champion who's been active, who's just did what he did with Sean Strickland in that battle. And in the fight before, he's just looked good lately. He seems so confident. I do think Israel can go make us all eat our words, right? He's that kind of fighter. But that's where I'm leaning. I'm just, the way that I've been watching the embeddeds, I've been watching how they are. And Izzy seems confident, but even a couple of things he said, you can tell he's not sure because it's been a layoff for him. And he's not a guy that usually comes off those kind of layoffs. He was a very active champion. And just, man, Dricus, when I first watched him fight, I'll be completely honest, I was like, I don't mean any disrespect because I like Dricus and I've had some conversations with him and he's a super cool guy. But at first I was like, man, this guy doesn't look all that good. And then you see him hit people and they feel it. And lately his cardio seems to have improved, even though a lot of people were doubting that early in his UFC career. He seems to have really come back strong on that.
He got the nose fixed.
I don't know what he did, but if that's what needed to help him, it has. So if he can pressure like that, I mean, Sean pressured him and Izzy had a lot of trouble dealing with it. Has he fixed those holes? Has he made those adjustments? We're going to find out. And if Izzy comes back and looks dominant again, hell yeah. I mean, he's an awesome champion. He's an awesome dude to have hold that belt. But I don't know, something about Dricus Du Plessis, he's been manifesting this for a long time when you talk about this guy and what he's had to do to get there. And he just finds a way to win. He's one of those guys.
No, absolutely. And I'm favoring Dricus as well. I think he wins this fight. Izzy's going to be hard to finish. But I could see a submission for Dricus. He's got 10 submissions on his record, 9 knockouts, so he's more of a submission guy, to be fair.
Did you see that thing, Michael, where he submitted like a whole team?
Yeah, a bunch of black belts in a row, one after the other. I think another thing worth considering is, given all the stuff that happened this week, given the stuff that Sean Strickland brought up as well, shout out the puppy and the dog and all this, whatever was going on, right? Yeah. That, I think, played into a factor for Israel because he was extremely popular, one of the biggest stars, still is. But there seems to have been, and this is from what I've seen online, and maybe his lived experience is very different, but there seems to be more people kind of on the hating bandwagon than the supporting bandwagon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a tough transition sometimes.
Mentally, we feel that pressure. And so like he has this thing in his mind where he's got to go out there and he's got to deliver a sensational performance. Like when he destroyed Paulo Costa, when he knocked out Alex Pereira. In his mind, he needs something big and he's got to show the world. And then with the kind of, maybe it's just what I'm seeing online. Maybe it's the algorithm showing me all the shit that my algorithm shows me a lot of crazy stuff, but it's showing a lot of people talking crap about Izzy as well.
Me too. Yeah, I agree. That's a lot of pressure. And on top of that, all the, the more and more you say, and you know damn well how this works, right? The more nastiness you put out there, the more you say about how you're going to crush this guy. We got to get in there. You got to get in there and back it up. And now you're getting in there after, not a long layoff by layoff standards, but a long layoff for Adesanya. So again, I'm totally with you. And you're in Perth, you're close to home. You're going to have either, a ton of support there. You've got all those teammates, Dan Hooker, Kai Kara France is on the card. Those situations are tough. What if those guys start taking L's early in the night and then you're the last one to go? These are all things that you can say it doesn't bother you, but me and you both know damn well it does.
It does. Like as stupid as this is, because I'm not a superstitious guy, but I guarantee you've done the same thing. In the old school days, now most fighters have a locker room of their own, but in the old school days, there was kind of red corner and blue corner lockers. So you'd be in there, you'd be sharing your locker room. And if everyone in that locker room comes in victorious, you're like, this is a good sign.
Yes.
If everyone in that locker room starts coming in black and blue, defeated, bust up, covered in blood, the energy in the room is really low, and people are, you're trying to warm up for your fight, but your teammate over there is getting consoled by your coach.
Crying. He's crying
his
over
eyes
with
out.
The coaches.
That has a massive, massive impact. And as you said,
it's funny you say that. I did the same thing, man, because same thing, like 2014, it would just be, especially earlier in the night, it would just be like 8 dudes in there. And as the night went on, you're just seeing guys, that guy lost, everyone in here lost already tonight? Like everyone in my locker room is lost. I'm definitely going to lose. I'm definitely losing tonight.
No, it's like, because that's when the pressure's really starting to mount up as an individual, as a fighter, as a human being. You can be the toughest guy ever and you can talk all the crap to the media. But what goes on in here is so important. And just those little things like that, which realistically don't impact us as individuals one little bit. But you're looking for little signs, that may help you. Now, when you go through the teammates on the card, Kai Kara France versus Steve Uroseg.
A fight that he could lose. Not that he's going to. Dan Hooker versus Gamrot, like a fight that he can lose.
If they're all in the same locker room, listen, I'll throw it out there. I like Dan Hooker. He impressed the hell out of me against Jalen Turner. That was such an inspirational performance. It really was. Against Dustin Poirier, even though he lost, he was incredible. It was such a great fight. But I just think stylistically, Mateusz Gamrot is a really, really bad matchup.
Yeah, it's tough fights. And Michael, it's Dan Hooker, Kai Kara France, then Israel Adesanya, all in a row.
Also, one more, not the same team, but, an Anzac. That's what they call the Australians and New Zealanders. Didn't know if you're aware of that, Paul.
No.
The what do they call them? The colloquialisms or something? I don't know, whatever. Move on. Tai Tuivasa.
In a row. Yeah, so a guy that they're going to be rooting for as well, right? A guy from Australia, a local guy. You got an Australian New Zealand / Africa with Israel Adesanya all in a freaking row, man. It could be either the best night ever, and it could be momentum going. They're hyped up, or like we talked about, it could
this
be
sounds bad. This could be a clean sweep.